You guys ever heard of COVID before? You've heard of it? Okay. Now, I don't think I need to tell you this, but things have changed since COVID has struck. I don't know if you've noticed the world around you, but things are a little bit different. And we know that. We know that things are different. We live it every day, but has your perspective on the world changed because of it, though? Like, we know that things are different, but has that changed the way that you see things? You know, just a year ago, you could go on vacation anywhere, anytime you wanted. You didn't have to think about it. There was no question, right? Like, do I have to wear a mask on the plane? And, are the cruise ships actually leaving? If we go, are the gas stations going to be closed? You could walk up to a new person and shake their hand for the first time, and it was never weird. You just shook hands, and it wasn't even a thing. And now, every time I do it without thinking, I have to almost apologize, like, sorry, is that okay? I don't want to offend anyone. If you walked into a store just a year ago with a face mask on, everybody would have thought you were a weirdo. And now, if you walk in without one, then you feel like a weirdo. Sometimes it depends on where I'm going. It's like, I don't know if I should wear it or not wear it. I just feel weird no matter what I do. And of course, the answer is to wear it. But I'm just saying it still feels weird when people are looking at you like, man, that guy's actually wearing a mask. You don't know how to feel about it. You could have a church banquet and didn't even have to think about it. You just did it. You just invited everyone, people showed up, and it was awesome. There are people in our church that we have not seen since March. Think about that. That was a long time to go without seeing people. The truth is that before COVID, there were a lot of things that we just took for granted. We didn't realize that it was a luxury. It's human nature to take things for granted. That's what we do as humans. We take things for granted. And honestly, it's because God blesses us so abundantly. We have so many things to be thankful for that sometimes we lose track. But even though that's the reality, that's not an excuse to not recognize the blessings when we have them. We should try to at least recognize what we have and be thankful for those things. And honestly, that's why Paul wrote the passage that we're reading today. We are not supposed to take the gifts in the church for granted. We're supposed to remember that we have them and use it. But more than just the gifts, we're supposed to realize that the people in the church are something we're not supposed to be taken for granted. So, if you have your YouVersion Bible app with you this morning, you can click on the menu, scroll over to today's, go to events and scroll over to today's message. It's called You'll Shoot Your Eye Out. We're going to be in 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 12 through 26, and we're going to be looking at 5 things today. We're looking at 5 things that we can learn about being a part of the body. Now, number 1, the first thing we're going to learn today is you are a part of the body, whether you like it or not. Now, think back 4 years ago. You remember when President Trump was elected, there was a bunch of liberals out in the street yelling, "Not my president." You guys remember that? They were saying, "He's not my president." But here's the thing. Did it matter that they said that? I mean, not really. You can say that all you want, but if you were an American staying in America, he was going to be your president, whether you liked it or not. It didn't matter what you said. And now, on the other hand, unless there's some crazy thing that happens in the courts, looks like Biden is going to be your next president. And again, it doesn't matter what you say now. You can get mad and say, "He's not my president," but that's not going to change anything. Now, of course, you can leave. You can go to Canada, because we hear that every time there's an election, right? "I'm moving to Canada." You know what's funny? Canada never extended an invitation to you. We just think, as arrogant Americans, we can go to Canada anytime we want and just be Canadian. But it's actually, I did research this week, not because I'm thinking about leaving, but I did research just to find out, how hard is it to go to Canada? It takes a long time to become a Canadian citizen. It's not easy. And then with COVID now, it's even harder. It's like, it takes years. Like, by the time you become a Canadian citizen, we'll be voting again. So it's a process, all right? So that's the thing. If you're American, the president is who we elect, whether you like it or not. And the same thing kind of works for the church. If you're a Christian, you are a part of the body, whether you like it or not. You can yell and say, "Not my body." I'm not a part of that body, but that's not going to change it. If you're a Christian, you are a part of the body. Now, of course, you can leave the faith, but if you are a Christian, you are a part of the body. Let's look at the text for this week. 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 14. "For the body does not consist of one member, but of many. If the foot should say, 'Because I'm not a hand, I do not belong to the body,' that would not make it any less a part of the body. And if the ear should say, 'Because I'm not an eye, I do not belong to the body,' that would not make it any less a part of the body." So let me give you a little bit of a detailed lesson here. Let's look at this slide. That is called a foot. Everybody say that with me. Foot. Very good. Let's look at the next slide. That's called a hand. Everybody say that with me. hand. All right, let's look at the next one. That is called an ear. All right, everybody say ear with me, ear. Very good. One more. That is called an eye. Everybody say eye. Very good. Now, believe it or not, I did not have to take a class on that in seminary or anything. I learned all those body parts on my own. Pretty good, right? Pretty good. Now, here's the thing. If you ask any first grader in this room, they will say, that's an eye, that's a hand, that's a foot. They'll know, right? But then if you ask them, hey, are any of those things not a part of your body? Now, being a first grader, they'll probably say no, but the reality is they know that all of those things are a part of their body, right? The eye can't say to the foot, well, I'm not a foot, so I'm not a part of the body. Now, I found this out this week, that 70% of people in America say that in some shape or form they are a Christian. Okay, 70% of Americans say they are a Christian one way or another, and yet 30% of Americans go to church. So 70% say they're a Christian, 30% go to church. Now, there are all sorts of reasons why people don't go to church if they're a Christian. They'll say, well, the church part isn't important. You can believe in God and be a Christian without going to church. Or they'll say, I'm not going to church. It's just full of a whole bunch of hypocrites. Really? Well, maybe that's why you should go. You'll fit right in. Okay? Or they'll say, you know what? I've checked all these different churches out and I just can't find one that I like. Doesn't meet my tastes. Or they'll say, I can't go to church because we got dance this weekend, and then I got to take my son to baseball, and then we got to, pay for cheerleading, and it's like all these other things get in the way. But let me ask you this. For your body, if I cut off your hand, what will happen to your hand? It's going to die. Because your hand needs to be attached to your body to keep thriving, right? That's just the way that it works. You can't cut it off and then it's still just going to run around like thing. It needs to be attached to your body. So your hand will die if it's not attached. But then what happens to your body if your hand is not attached? Well, it's painful and things become harder. Okay, I need a volunteer here this morning. Can you guys thank Chris for coming up here and volunteering this morning, please? Thank you. All right. So, Chris, how many hands do you have? 2. He has 2 hands. All right, can we verify that? We have 2 hands. All right, do you have a phone on you right now? Okay, can you put it up to your ear like you're talking on it? Okay, now, that phone needs to stay there through this entire drill. Okay, it's staying there. Your other hand, though, is what you're going to use to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Now, I learned this week that according to food.com, I'd say they're the experts, they say it takes 2 minutes to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for the average person. Now, we have all the ingredients already taken out, okay, so he's going to have a head start, and he's going to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And now, because I had Doug do this in first service, I have to clarify what a peanut butter and jelly sandwich is, because Doug decided he was going to cheat. It's 2 pieces of bread, not 1. And it has to be spread on the bread, not just globbed on like a booger and rolled up. All right? We're good? Okay. So you're going to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I am going to open up a timer on my phone to see if you can get this thing done in 2 minutes. You ready? Ready? Go. I need you guys to cheer is what I need. There you go. Well, he's 10 seconds in. All right, he's got the bread open. You can use the heel, that's okay. Or the butt, depending what you call it. All right, he's got the bread out. All right, he's got the peanut butter. All right. All right, pretty good. All right, pretty good. Uh-oh, that was a little harder. By the way, I think Doug set that up on purpose that way, just so you know. Oh. All right. All right, there we go. We got the peanut butter on there. I want peanut butter in all 4 corners. All right. Uh-oh, things are getting hard. He's an engineer, by the way, so he has an advantage over most of us. All right, and he's almost halfway done. He's 50 seconds in, so we got 1:10 left. See how this is gonna go. All right, so he's got peanut butter. I'll give him almost 2 corners there. All right, there we go. Oh. Thanks, Todd. See, that's what a good worship leader does. He has the music already ready to go. Okay, so now we're gonna get that. There it is. All right, he got it. All right. All right, 45 seconds left. 45 seconds. All right. Uh-oh, there it is. Oh, he's just going. Oh, all right, 35 seconds. All right, he's got the jelly on there. He's got the jelly on there. You're not allergic to peanut butter, are you? I should probably ask that before I get a volunteer up here, right? All right, we'll let that slide. Okay, go ahead. Take a bite. if you can. All right. Thank you, Chris. That was excellent. That was excellent. A minute 45. You can take that back with you if you want. A minute 45. A minute 45 is what he took to make that. Now, the jelly wasn't exactly in the corners, but we'll let that slide. But Chris, can you tell me this? Was that a lot harder to do with one hand than it would be with two hands? Yes. And that's my point, that we take things for granted, right? When we take a look at making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, something we do all the time. If you're a bachelor, you probably do it like 5 times a day, okay? It's just something that we do. Right? You don't think about how hard it is to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. But that's because you're used to having two hands. Or if you're one-handed, you've gotten used to doing it with one hand. Okay? So to actually get up here, to take away something you're used to having, you start realizing, oh wow, that part that I don't have anymore actually was valuable, wasn't it? Well, it's the same way for the hands, if you will, in the church. That when there's somebody in the church who is serving a function and they disappear, it hurts. It's painful. It makes things a lot harder. Okay? Now, that's why God designed the church the way it's supposed to be. Each of us as a church, as individual parts, are supposed to work together. Hebrews 10:24 says this, "And let us consider how to stir up one another to love and good works, not neglecting to meet together, as is the habit of some, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day drawing near." See, just as your body needs to stay together to do things, the church needs to stay together to do things. Does that make sense? Okay, we have all these parts that come together that are valuable. Rosaria Champagne Butterfield said this, "There is no such thing as an independent Christian." It doesn't happen. But why? Why? Why do we need all this? Why does it need to be set up the way God set it up? Well, because of our second point this morning, and that's that each part has a function. Each part in the church has a function. 1 Corinthians 12:17 says this, "If the whole body were an eye, where would be the sense of hearing? If the whole body were an ear, where would be the sense of smell? But as it is, God arranged the members in the body, each one of them as he chose. If all were a single member, where would the body be? As it is, there are many parts and yet one body." I think we've learned that it's important to have our hands, isn't it? Well, it's also important for our church to have the hands of service, and the eyes of discernment, and the feet of evangelism, and the brain of knowledge, and the ears of mercy. Look up at the screen here, and there's going to be a list, and you'll see that as we've gone through this series, every gift I've talked about, I've given 4 or 5 examples of ways you could be using it in the church. These are all of the ministries that we've talked about, and then some of them I broke apart a little bit because they were hyphenated and stuff. But take a look up at those ministries right now, and just think about all of those things that go on in the church. Most of those happen right here at CrossPoint, and other ones happen just outside of CrossPoint, but you could still be involved in. Now, there are probably a ton more that you could be doing up there. Those are just the ones that I thought of. But really, take a minute, look at it, and think about yourself as you look at those ministries. Do you see your ministry up there? Can you think of a ministry that you're doing that isn't up there, but you're doing one? Is it up there? If you're not doing one of those things up there or more, you have to ask yourself a hard question. Why are you here? If you're not engaging in ministry as a believer, why are you here? Now, if you're seeking God for the first time, if you're a new believer, if you're coming back to the Lord or whatever the case is, if that's the situation, that's great, that's wonderful. This would not be expected of you yet. But if you're a believer, if you've been following God, if you come to this church every week and been doing it for years or decades, then why would you not be doing one of those things up there? That doesn't make sense. That's like going to a company and looking at a list of jobs and being like, well, I work here, but I don't do any of those things. Well, then why are you here? See, if you are the Christian that's been here but hasn't been doing something, then you're a different type of body part. You're an appendix. No one knows what you do. No one knows what your function is. You're just kind of there. You don't do anything good, and you're just kind of waiting until you can go septic and then kill everybody else. That's not what Jesus called us to be. Jesus doesn't want appendices in his church or an appendix in his church. It's time to get involved. It's time to do something. That's what we're called to do. If you don't know what your gifts are, take the spiritual gifts test. It's been in the YouVersion Bible app every week. Just click it and take the test. If you don't want to do that, then download one on your phone. Look on the internet. They're all over the place. If you're not technologically capable of doing that, well, then think about your gifts and try something. Just try something. Explore. There are all sorts of opportunities within the church. Get involved. If you find out you're not good at something, give it up and try something else. I'm still doing that. I was a worship pastor, and then an associate pastor, then a youth pastor, and now I'm a senior pastor, and I don't even know how that's going yet. We'll have to figure that out. But see, here's the thing. If you're in the church, you are important, like it or not. And you do have a purpose in this body. There is something that you are supposed to be doing, which brings up the next point that we're looking at here. Number 3 is this. We need each other. We need each other. In this church, we need each other. Leslie Ludy said this, in our culture, it is seen as a sign of weakness to actually seek help from someone else. And yet as Christians, God designed us to need each other. I can't tell you how many times, even just since I've been here in the last year, where there are people that are struggling, and it's like when they finally come and ask for help, everything is falling apart. And it's like, well, why didn't you seek help further? Well, because we believe we don't seek help until things are on their last leg and falling apart. That is not the way the church works. We walk with each other, whether things are good or whether things are bad or anything in between. If you're going to be healthy, you have to maintain something. That's like saying, well, I never change the oil in my car, right? I don't do that. I just wait till it explodes. Well, guess what? You're not going to have a car at the end of it, right? You have to make sure that you're maintaining yourself. We have to make sure that as the church, we are involved with each other. When you're good, help others that are not. When you're not, admit it. That's what we're supposed to be doing as the church, because the reality is, this church, the church, we need you. And whether you like it or not, you need us too. That's the reality. 1 Corinthians 12:21, the eye cannot say to the hand, I have no need of you. Nor again the head to the feet, I have no need of you. See, the thing is, with each of the gifts we've been talking about, there's a strength, right? But there's also a weakness that comes along with that. And sometimes as a church, we walk in here and we choose to see the strengths in ourselves and the weaknesses in the other gifts around us. But see, we should be choosing to focus on the good of the gifts rather than just the bad that comes along with them. Because if we just walk in here and we just see the weaknesses, we end up leaving the church. Because we walk in and it's like, well, I am doing all these great things with my strength. None of you are doing this. I'm out of here. And that's what happens far too long. You know, you walk in and you think, oh, that person is so loud. They're talking all the time. Are they loud, or are they just passionate about what God has done? Oh, those stupid tree huggers in the church, they're so annoying. Are they annoying, or are they trying to be good stewards of God's creation? Oh, those people that wear suits and ties to church, that's so irritating. Why do they do that? Maybe because they want to show reverence for God. Right? Sometimes the things that annoy us have good things behind them that we choose to ignore. And the reality is that when this happens, we're missing what's actually going on behind the scenes here. I don't know if you know this or not, but if you take a group of red ants and a group of black ants, I'm sure the species matters, but not for this illustration. So if you take black ants and red ants and you put them in a jar of dirt and just set it up on your coffee table and watch them, they're going to leave each other alone. They're going to dig their little tunnels, they're going to do their thing, and everything's fine. But if you walk up to the jar and you shake it and even dump it on the ground and get them out of the jar, they're going to fight each other and kill each other. Why? What's changed? Well, because they were in a situation that was violent and stirred them up and things like that. And as a result, the ones that are black are looking at the red ones going, hey, you know what? You're different than me. This must be your fault. And then vice versa. The red ants are going, oh, look at those black ants over there. It must be their fault. And they fight each other until they kill each other. And the reality is that the entire time they're blaming each other and fighting and killing each other, but they're missing the actual enemy, which is you, the jar shaker. They've totally missed what's actually happened, and they've focused on things that really don't matter. And as a church, I can tell you this, Satan does the same thing. He puts us in our church, in our little jar, and he shakes us up and just watches us fight each other. And he's so happy and he's so giddy and he does it, and we're sitting here blaming each other like, oh, they're different than me. It must be their fault. They dress different, they have different gifts, they look different, they have different beliefs, and then we just get mad and fight each other, and then we have all these different divisions in our church, and Satan's sitting there laughing. Because he's the jar shaker. Why is he shaking our jar? Because he knows that the church is that important. He wants to be the church. That church. And the funny thing is, sometimes us as Christians, we don't see the importance of the church because we're hung up on ourselves. And I'm only saying that because I do that to myself sometimes. To believe that you don't need the church is arrogant. You're putting your hope in yourself. I can promise you this, that you're not so great that you don't need the church body to support you. And to believe that the church doesn't need you is just as foolish, even selfish, to think that the church doesn't need you. You are not so worthless that you don't impact the church. That means that each person needs each person in this body, and each gift needs each gift in the body. And we have gifts in the church that work together, right? How can a teacher teach the Word of God without there being discernment? And I don't mean that the teacher has discernment. I mean that the people he's teaching has discernment, right? If a teacher stands up here with the gift of teaching, the hearers need to have the gift of discernment to figure out if it's the truth or not, right? If someone has the gift of giving, a lot of times they depend on somebody with the gift of evangelism. If you're a giver, you need to give to someone that is exercising their gift somewhere else so that you can fund that, right? If you are a leader, you depend on people that have the gift of faith to come underneath you. Right? These gifts work together. They're not supposed to be isolated. Because believers without the gifts, if you're a believer just stuck in your own gift and forgetting the other gifts, you will shrivel up and die. How many of us have ever seen a movie called A Christmas Story? Okay. So if you've never seen the movie, there's this little kid in the movie, and he really wants a Red Ryder BB gun. The whole movie, this is what he's asking for. Every adult he talks to, I want a Red Ryder BB gun. He's got all the specs ready to go, and every adult responds to him the same way. He says, I want a BB gun, and they say, you'll shoot your eye out. And he's frustrated, like, I'm not going to shoot my eye out, just give me the stupid BB gun. And by the end of the movie, he finally does get that BB gun, and he lines up a target, and he shoots it, and it hits the target, and it ricochets, and it shoots his eye out. It doesn't actually shoot his eye out, he's wearing glasses, and it shatters them. But still, it hits him in the glasses. So people were right the whole time. See, sometimes we're so caught up with what our hands are doing, playing with our toys and these kind of things, that we forget about the eye we're depending on, and we shoot it, and it's like, oh, oops. How many people leave the church because they're treated poorly by somebody else? A lot. It's almost a guarantee. You talk to somebody and you say, hey, you know, do you used to go to this church? Yeah, I used to go to that church. And what happened? Well, there was some church hurt there. Someone hurt them. And so they left. But the truth is, our hands have a responsibility to our eyes, and our ears have a responsibility to our feet. And all the way around, we have responsibility to each other. See, I'm a shepherd teacher, and I am desperately dependent on those who are encouragers in our church. If I don't get the encouragement I need, I will shrivel up and die. I know that already, right? I rely on givers to pay my salary. I rely on administrators to organize my thoughts for me, because Lord knows I can't do it myself. I rely on servants to free up my time so I can teach. See, I can't imagine going to any one person in our church and saying, I don't have a need for you.